Hello and welcome to A Soul's Experience, a channel dedicated to helping the human race remember who we really are. I'm so excited today to have special guest Mr. James Hills. He is a psychology student and a practitioner in the spiritual arts. He is a content creator of Understanding Normal. I'm so excited to have him today. What we want to do is try and understand truly this spiritual journey and love, but not just from a spiritual point of view. We want to see it from a psychologist's point of view as well, someone who's into psychology, see if we can correlate the two together and get some really, really deep meaning and conversation going on here. So in that case, I want to welcome Mr. James Hills.
Thank you very much. That was a great intro.
So James, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
This is the first time we've done this
in
the new studio.
In the new studio.
The new
it's looking good, by the
location,
way.
we have Buddha with us. Buddha with some rosemary beads to represent different types of faith. But this show is about spirituality. It's not all about religion. Because we want to keep an open mind. What we want to try and do here with your studying psychology.
That's correct, yeah.
So you're studying psychology. So that's a lot about human behaviour, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's putting a science to how spiritual people think.
Right.
So it's I've always found it interesting why we do the things we do.
Yeah.
Even down to the basic behaviour, and I've always seen things from a very spiritual side.
Yeah.
But now it's interesting to learn the other side.
100%,
So what are we actually saying it is from a psychological point of view? Happy to be here.
Awesome,
I look forward to diving into some subjects.
We've been looking forward to this.
Just to clarify, I am just starting my uni degree, so I'm no professional psychologist, but I'm just starting with a spiritual mindset, just so that's clear.
I think that's really interesting because I wonder how many people go into psychology because they were first spiritual, and how many people go into spirituality because they understand that psychology might not hold all the answers they might want. I wonder if putting them two together, which is what we're trying to do here, putting them two together is where the answers might lie.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so what I've noticed so far is I'm in a group of 100 people. So 100 new students, because it's open university. And the one thing that I see that's common is everyone is sharing their trauma stories.
Right.
So this happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This is my medical condition. So a lot of the people that want to become psychologists, it seems that they're trying to fix something.
Right. It's coming from a place of trauma.
It's coming from a place of trauma. They know psychology dives deep.
Yeah.
And psychology may help to untangle all of that trauma. And I think a lot of people are drawn to psychology for that reason. It's to use on themselves, and the result of doing that, you can then use it on others.
Yeah. No, because I find actually when I'm making content for this channel, even I'm speaking to the audience through technology, through a camera lens, even though I do feel a sense of connection with them, especially when you hear in the comments that they're relating with you, they're resonating with you. And when you feel that connection, even through technology, then you start to understand that there are questions that do need to be answered. There are levels to life, like serious levels. And I think a lot of people, we're going to talk about the state of the world in a minute.
Yeah, of course.
I want to ask you about your view on that. Because at the moment, it's like, I'm going to say a massive percent of people are waking up, like you said, to the fact that there's these deep questions that need to be answered, and whether they're asked through psychology or spirituality or religion, and we can't disrespect people that are in religions. I like to try and love every single person, and personally the church has done some great things for me when I've been struggling. Do I agree with separation amongst brothers and sisters under one universal God? No, I don't. But that's where spirituality comes in. So, the state of the world. It seems to be a bit crazy.
Yeah.
It seems to be like, I grew up, and you would have grown up in the 90s and the 2000s. The days of tuck shops.
Yeah,
the days of community centres. The days of down the disco on a Saturday night where your mum was having a B&H in the corner. with an arse strongbow. You know what I mean? The days where you was allowed to run around with your doors unlocked, and if you disappeared, you might turn up 3 days later, you might not. I'm sure it'll be fine. Aunt Ethel has put the kettle on.
Yeah.
Right? The days of sniff up a lip, everything was kind of how you saw it, was how you got it. And we're slowly...
Pretty much.
We're
I
slowly
agree with that.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to quickly end with, we're slowly realising there's this whole, I don't want to say agenda, but if there was an agenda, it would literally be the battle for good and evil.
Yeah.
The battle for understanding the journey to love.
And that's what I was going to say. It's the battle to love.
The battle to love. Right,
and we briefly touched on this earlier. You know, we're all born into this world with unconditional love. Normally starts with our mother.
Yeah.
We have that feeling of love. And then we go through this life journey trying to find the love that we had at the beginning.
Yeah.
But why does it take us so long to live in something that we were born into? And then you got to look at that on a deeper level. Well, you know, the way that, we have to live our lives. We have to attend this education. We have to then get jobs. We live in a very much built system which doesn't give us time to really experience love.
No.
And that's the thing. It's how many people are out there like they're doing a job and it feels like a job. It feels like a job, like, oh, I got to get up, I got to have my coffee, and I've got to get to work. And it's that feeling of I got to get there. Well, that's you're living in a system where it isn't built just purely on love. And I think that's what people are recognizing. People feel, don't take the wrong things from it, but people feel broken.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We have a generation of broken people.
Yeah.
And that's because they are not living in a state of love anymore.
No, 100%. And I think to add to that, if we look at foundations that are built on love.
Yeah.
So let's look at a positive family structure.
Yeah.
Where the parents work, everyone has problems. Everyone has problems. We're having a human experience, like everyone's having a problem at some point.
Yeah.
So, but like, say, even if mum and dad aren't together, the dad and the mum are still involved in a positive way. There's still influence on the child. There's no abuse in the family. There's no addiction in the family. Even with them, there can still be a lot of love in them families. But if we look at foundations built on love, like charities wanting to help the homeless, 100% profit charities towards children's needs. Multi-millionaires and billionaires who do give so much to trying to help this planet.
Yeah.
Them foundations built on love the people that are involved in them kind of foundations seem to be fulfilled in a way that somebody just trying to earn a wage isn't.
Yeah.
And I think, and I feel, because I have tried in the past I have in my own little ways, I've gone out to feed the homeless where I live. I wasn't greeted very, very well. They wanted other things, bless them. I was trying to hand out food. They wanted other things. Okay, it was what it was. But I felt I wasn't getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting any money out of it. In fact, I had to spend a bit of money to provide food and whatever else, and get the equipment I needed to get the food into town freshly, safely.
Yeah.
But when I was walking home, the anxiety I felt before, I was so anxious about approaching random homeless people and being like, do you need to eat? And I didn't know how I was going to be taken. One guy was lovely. It was right at the very end. I'd been in town for about an hour, 2 hours. I had done the rounds a couple of times. I had been in, but the feeling I had afterwards was this feeling of I had done something to try to help someone else. And it was based in love.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I wanted to get paid for that.
Yeah.
I felt like the action of trying to help, and I had this on my mind, and it was the overcoming the anxiety. I was so anxious to do it, and I do suffer with anxiety now and again. So I was so anxious to do it that when I overcame that anxiety to help a fellow human being, I felt love for myself, and then I realised feeling love for myself through actions based on love. It's actually God or the universe, the creator, our divine selves, is loving us because that's who we are.
Yeah.
So we're having an exchange of love on an action based of love, and it comes very easily, very smoothly to want to do stuff like that for human beings. Now, what you were saying about being stuck in a job where it feels like work, it feels like hard work. You don't want to get up at this time. Winter might have rolled in. The sun isn't even up. It's pitch black. It's 6 a.m. Your body works on a cycle. It's nature, of course it is. Yet you're going against the grain. I love using that word. You are literally pushing against what the universe is trying to provide for you. And what we're doing is we're putting an imperfect plan, our egotistical plan of what we think to be right. We're putting that in front of a perfect plan that is already laid out for us if we could just go with the flow.
Yeah.
But that takes faith.
Yeah.
So
and I also we're going to take that on a deeper level.
go deep. I wanna.
We're going to take.
I'm gonna put the snorkel gear on,
Put
man.
the snorkel on.
I'm going down. I'm going down deep, man.
We're going to need to go deep on this.
We're going deep.
Any subject where you talk about love has to go deep.
Oh, is there
has
anything
to.
deeper?
You know,
Is there anything
and
deep?
so I think it's the way we look at things as well, which is something. It's not what we're talking about. Isn't a materialistic thing that we can go out and buy or achieve. People need to get that out their mind.
Yeah.
We're led to think that is the perfect us, but that's all materialistic things. What we're talking about is a love feeling that isn't out here, it's within here, and you feel it. You
100%.
feel it. That's what love is. It's not. Yeah, you can love a car, but love is from within. So let's say if you do have that 9-to-5 job, look, sometimes in life we have to be a part of the system.
Yeah.
Because we are governed by that system.
Yep.
You know, I can't just go sit in a cave and meditate for 40, 50 years without worrying that I'm going to die or
lose
or
all relationship with your children.
I need to keep a connection with the reality, with the structure that's in place.
Yes, this is really important.
So how then do we love? And I think for me it's about, well, it's not just a job. That job is feeding your family. You got the option to, with that money, go and explore new foods. You have power. Money is power.
Yeah.
And if you use it in the right way, we kind of touch on this subject, then it brings love.
It does.
It's how we look at money.
Yes.
It's how we perceive things. That job isn't just a job. If you do your job out of love, even if it's just an example, I was doing a laundry job just to earn some money because whilst I'm waiting for my uni degree, and it was pitting dirty washing.
Got to earn them pennies, man.
But
got to earn them pennies.
When I went there was this lady who was about 60. She had been there 15 years, and she was still smiling and dancing. And one day she could tell that I was suffering. And she said, James, start dancing and smile. So I started dancing with her whilst doing the laundry. All of a sudden, I was doing that job out of love. And my whole experience changed.
Yeah.
I was no longer looking at the clock. I was dancing.
Yeah.
I was engaging with people out of love with the words that we can speak.
100%.
So I think love affects, my point is, love affects everything we do, to the words we say, to the thoughts we think, and it's so important to get that aligned. It's easy to think about these things when we have to do it to our unconscious body that loves automatic systems.
Yes.
Because that's what we are.
Yes.
We are a one big ball of habit, trying to learn, trying to evolve, trying to survive.
Yeah, living.
And so you have to, and that's the battle.
That's the battle.
I think people are at. It's how do I get this body that's been through so much trauma and conditioning from birth? Because since I've looked into psychology, conditioning is a massive part of it. How we are conditioned by what's happening around us.
Right.
So it's a massive battle that people have to do, and I think that's my message to a lot of your viewers is that I'm there too. We are all there at that battle
100%
between love and our unconscious selves.
So would you
yeah.
say the unconscious self? Because what I've noticed is there seems to be a structure in play that resides in the negative energy. I don't want to use the word evil, even though from a human level we see evil acts all the time. In fact, it's sometimes easier to see the evil than it is to see the love.
100%.
And I think that's where the conditioning, I love that word you said there, conditioning, because we're conditioned by our parents, we're conditioned by the school system, we're conditioned by what we see and listen to that's on these gadgets that are all around us.
Yeah.
And if we're being conditioned to believe we are mere little human beings that have this very small existence, and you only get one shot,
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, that's bad news. In fact, a lot of people believe if you make that mistake, you're damned to this place called hell for eternity. And that puts the fear of God into people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have the people that are being conditioned by religion as well.
100%. Yeah.
And if we come from a spiritual point of view and we know that we're having an experience, that experience needs to be fruitful, we know that must contain the negative and the positive. You cannot have the positive without the negative.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't exist, because positive, what would a positive be? So you have all these conditionings for fear. And then I've noticed, I don't know what it is about the age between, I'm going to say 30 to 39, let's say 40. In your 30s, a lot of people seem to be given that option,
Yeah.
that little glimpse into something different, that love that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And is spirituality as simple as stop fearing everything you've been taught and just trust in love?
Yeah.
Now that sounds really simple but really complicated, because then what does that mean? To
Yeah.
just stop fearing everything and to just love everything. Does that mean if that truly happened, where would the human experience be, for one? And we've experienced so much fear now. Do you see a turning point where people are just going to start saying, I've had enough, and I want to come from a place of love? And if that happens,
Yeah.
will the human experience still be as valid, as fruitful, if it was a lot more loving and less negative?
I mean, I think there's something we have to add into that cocktail of what we just said, and it's our understanding of time. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
okay.
it's valid to what you said, but if we are made out of pure love, we are then conditioned, and we're almost, imagine this Buddha being born.
Okay.
And then it's born and it's observing the outside world, and it's just getting flooded full of negativity. Okay, when we reach a certain age, I feel that we don't rely on our mother's energy anymore. We are kind of let loose.
Right.
In this process of letting loose, time naturally scrapes off all of the shit.
Right.
And I think it's important to acknowledge we want to live out of love and accept that it's going to take time.
Right. Okay.
Because time is a part of love. It takes time. So, okay, well, how is that relevant? How can we see big change then as a collective? Well, now we know that information. We now have to look at our younger generation and what we are leaving on this planet Earth. It's our children. The key is in the children.
It's in the children.
For drastic change.
No, I agree.
And this is why I'm focusing on child psychology. I've worked for children and families for 9 years.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
So that's my background. It's going into families and seeing what's gone wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And I see that it's the children that are chaotic. And they're not getting the love that our next generation need to make significant change. Do you see what happens here?
Yeah.
There's a snowball effect because we're not prioritising our children. That's what we need to look backwards.
Do you
Our children, when we die, we die. we leave, the DNA we leave is in our kids. That is us. That's why there's generational trauma. There's a long line. The kids are the key because we have to make them. Because remember, we when we are raised, we become unconscious to a degree.
Yes, 100%,
in psychology,
100%.
it was 70% of what we do, we're not even conscious about.
Wow,
70%. It was a crazy
70.
in terms of how the whole system works and how you feel emotion. You're only conscious to about 30%,
Yeah.
and the 70% is everything you've learned building into this adult. So we have to give our kids a fighting chance. Because we have to build them a template that works for when they're adults. We have to harness the seed to make a beautiful flower. In our situation, it's our kids that are the seeds.
Yeah.
And now that is a topic by itself. About you could look into the education system. You could look into family dynamics, domestic abuse. That is a big subject.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because in the moments as adults, something happens, we're like, fuck it, they're just kids. It doesn't matter. Oh, it does matter.
It does matter.
It does matter. These kids are observing how to be as adults.
That's right.
They are sponges. They are, how do I navigate Earth?
That's
right. How do I navigate this planet?
How do I keep myself
safe? I look at the mother. I look at the caregiver and I follow their lead. And what paths we're taking them down is scary. Scary.
Do you think at this time, because I'm very much along the lines of, I will speak my truth around, to me it's very, very normal for the kids if I'm just in the kitchen and I'm talking to God. If I'm just talking to my spirit guide, if I ask them a question, if I ask them for help, if I say protect me on this long journey, if I thank God after getting back from a long journey, thank you God for keeping me safe. It's very, the kids just know that I talk to the spirit world.
Yeah.
They're a part of my life. It's just very, very normal. However, I don't push that down there. I don't say you have to do this, you have to believe in this. It's very much up to them. But do you think with especially parents our age who are having these spontaneous awakenings, is this going to ripple down into the younger generation to a point where humanity is going to be safe?
Well, let me tell you why. And people really need to think about this. Okay? The ego, it's not about you. Yeah. Right. It's not about seeing the change in yourself. It's not you're getting the £1 million. It's not that your life matters essentially. It's about the greater good as a species, that we have an obligation to love our children. It's that simple. Parenting has become so chaotic with books on how to parent. No, it's simple. You just have to love your child in what they do. That is as simple as it gets, and people have overcomplicated it. And what I mean by that is, if you see your child exploring and they've made a picture, they're literally creating things in front of you. Yeah. You get involved and you show love. Yeah. And you tell them that's right. This is a loveful situation. And you make that child live in love. And then when they get to an adult and all they have lived is love, then you have a very powerful being, and then change can happen.
And I think it sounds so simple, doesn't it? It sounds so simple, yet it feels like the world we have created around ourselves doesn't allow the time for that much expression of love, even between parents and children. Now, there's obviously times in the morning, there's times after school. If the parent doesn't have to work a 40 to 60 hour job, if both parents don't have to work both jobs and the kids are with, I remember there was a time where I was younger and with, childminders.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember the feeling of school finishing and being taken to a childminder for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. It felt like the longest 2 hours of the day because I was ready to go home and be with my mum. Yeah. I was ready to go home, be with my brothers and my sisters, be in that family, be in love.
Yeah.
And that was my home, and home was where the love was.
Yeah.
So to be put with 8 random kids that I didn't know, with an old lady who had no time for any of us, locked into one room while she was in the kitchen smoking, and to be left there in front of a TV just watching a cartoon on repeat for 2 hours was the most loveless,
Yeah.
kind of scary, because there was no love.
Yeah.
And I also remember a time where we were taken, the brothers and sisters were all on an adventure in Ireland.
Mm.
And there was a time where you could be stuck at a bus stop all night long waiting for that bus that didn't turn up, and it's cold, it's raining.
Yeah.
You're all huddled together as a family. Your mum was there, and you felt love. It was dark, it was midnight, it was cold, it was raining, and you were there all night.
And it didn't matter.
And
where
it
you
did
was,
not matter because
you felt love.
There's your brother, there's your sisters, there's your mum. We're all warm. We found a little dry spot to sit.
Yeah.
Mum's got to stay awake all night cuddling us, but we can fall asleep on her. God bless her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that didn't matter where you were. So that's the power of love.
Yeah, and it comes back to something that as a species we struggle with, and we have to look at this on a deep level. It's not about us, and we can't wrap our heads around that as a species. What do you mean it's not about me? I'm living my experience. It's not. And people, they will listen to this and they just won't get it, because some people might, but it's when you learn to love and you're not loving just yourself and you're loving the kids, you're loving everything else, that's living.
So
it's not about loving just your career and loving yourself. It's
a wholeness of love.
Yeah, it's also acknowledging love doesn't just stop with yourself.
Right.
Love stops. You can love everything.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah,
everything.
you don't just need to love your inside voice.
Yeah.
There's love everywhere.
No, yeah, I was telling you earlier, actually, I was watching a near-death experience of this woman who was very, very much into working, monetary gain.
Yeah.
When she worked herself to death, her body was crying out, please rest. She ignored it to finish a deadline. Working at that computer with her body slowly shutting down.
Yeah.
She actually had to be put into a coma.
Yeah.
And put on life support. While she was there, she had a near-death experience, and she went in, she met the prophet of false gods who worships monetary things, this big reptilian demon-looking thing wearing armour. Yeah. She met him, and she was cast in with these demon-type, I'm going to say lost souls. She classed them as kind of like evil, but I think lost souls.
Yeah.
Because they were being very negative. So they were trapped in a negative space of consciousness where I believe she was. And while she was there, a woman of unconditional love came in, reached in and saved her from her conscious hell. And when she felt this woman's love, she said, you don't understand how much this woman loved. Even though she was saving her from the demons, she understood that she also loved the demons. Yeah. Because the demons said to this goddess, why would you stir us up and throw this soul in with us if you was only going to take her away? We was having fun with her. Yeah. They were insulting her, saying she was worthless, you're no good. And I think she got trapped in her own consciousness. She didn't have a lot of self-belief about herself. Yeah. So she was in her near-death experience, her inner turmoil, which is why it's so important that we find inner peace before we pass over. So our death is a beautiful passing. So when she said this goddess of love, she loved the tapeworm. She loved the dog. She loved the dog's death. Yeah. When the dog finally died, she loved the experience that gave back to the creator. She loved the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything. And as humans, we think it's about us. It's about our kids first, our dogs first. If another dog attacks our dog or our dog attacks their dog, it's still like, oh, you know, oh, UK boy, you know what I mean? It's always our things, you've hit my car. Yeah. You've done this to me. Yeah. How dare you do that to me? Like, what do you think you're playing at? How disrespectful. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's all that BS that we buy into. Like, oh no, like, this is my boundaries. Don't you come near my boundary. And everyone has to have boundaries, man. You know, you can't overstep the boundaries. But what about we knock down them boundaries and someone looks like they're hurting. We don't cross the road because someone's suffering. Leave them alone, kids.
Yeah.
They're having a bad day. Just stay out their way. Why not? They're having a bad day. I wonder if, as my brother or my sister, I wonder if it is our responsibility to the love that we have been given as children, hopefully by someone. Can we remember that love and now give that love back to the world?
Yeah.
And is that our responsibility as humans?
I mean, I will give out a challenge I think everyone should do, because then you can kind of see like what we're talking about. Yeah, if everyone goes down the street one day, just says hello to 10 people.
Yeah.
And just observe how they react back.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a higher number of people looking weirded out. Like, oh, hi. Like, they'll be freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah, freaked out.
They'll be the majority. It depends how you approach saying hi.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think we only spread it so far, really, which is to our inner circle.
Yeah.
But then, like, you'll walk past someone in the street and you'll just have nothing to do with them, like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate challenge for our species is, can we overcome that? Can we actually all love together as a collective?
Could you imagine?
If you look at the state of the world as it is, that is far off at the moment. And I think people are waking up to actually we've been living out love.
Yeah.
It's the next steps. And I know you've talked about 2025.
2025.
I think,
big year.
I think there's some significance there.
There is.
And it doesn't stop with you. There's other YouTubers and a lot of people are drawn to that year. So it makes you wonder if there's something else at play. And have you had any more thoughts on next year or any more feelings of what that could be or how it would look?
So, 2025.
Yeah.
So I've made this in other videos. I've said, so I had the feeling, I got this vision of a timeline and it came with feelings but without specifics, so I'd feel the energy surrounding them years.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at the time because this was about 2007, but I saw 2020 and all I felt was the whole world changes.
Yeah.
The whole world, I knew it. I was telling my friends, should have seen their faces when it happened. I was telling my friends, especially in 2019, I said the whole world changes next year. We all know what happened in 2020. So
with COVID.
So the world changed. We all felt it as a world. Believe it or not, this was something positive because for the first time, as a species, we were feeling the same thing as a collective.
Yeah.
We were feeling quite suppressed, I would say, as a collective. And then 2020 and 2025 are linked. All them years, and if you look at the change between 2020 and 2025, if you look at that change, the world has changed.
Yeah. It's been a lot of change, all right.
Now, something happens in 2025, and I'll say it again. I've made about this will be the 5th time I've said it probably online. I've made about 3-4 other videos previous to this about it, but something big is coming in 2025. And just like what happened in 2020, the whole world is going to be affected.
Yeah.
The whole planet. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to hear about it, you're going to know about it, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
Now, this is a great positive thing again. It might manifest physically as something that looks like a disaster. But we must understand that something like a disaster has the power to bring a whole planet together.
Yeah.
And when I see 2025, I see big golden balloons that are blown up, like party balloons, helium ones, with fireworks in the background, but it comes with this noise that goes...
Yeah.
That's what I hear. So I see golden balloons, 2025, and then...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's people's minds being blown, whoa, or whether that's like the light of Betelgeuse, that supernova in the 1400s, finally hitting Earth, activating our God gene, our DNA, contributing to the great flash, the great awakening. you know, returning back to who we truly are.
Yeah.
But something big happens, and it changes the perspective of the planet to a perspective of us coming together. Because after 2025, I see a golden line till 2057. Recently, 2036 has been popping up, but I think that's to do with the next solar maximum, which I found out recently is every 11 years. So 11 years from 2025 would be 2036. So I think something happens on the next solar maximum as well in 2036, but that wasn't revealed until about 6 months ago. But 2025, definitely something big happens.
Yeah, and I think with that prediction comes, as a species, we naturally have to evolve.
Yes.
It's in the history of what we do. We do evolve, and we constantly evolve.
Yes.
From an atom to now what we are, you know.
Yeah.
So we've constantly evolved, and we're not going to stop, because matter and time is flying forward. You know,
100%.
we have to go forward. So I think even if next year people, they realise the system's broke.
That's right.
Completely.
Yeah.
And what, so, okay, let's say everyone acknowledges the system's broke and it's the reason for a lot of chaos and stuff that shouldn't exist. Well, what do you turn to? Well, you turn to love.
Yeah.
You turn to what feels good. And I think, you know, it'd be nice if my prediction was right, because if everyone turned to love and just what the system's not working, then it's not, you're not alone in that. Everyone turns to love at the same time, and as a species you grow out of love. I mean, that would be the nicest thing, I think, to happen in our evolution as a species.
Yeah, because I mean, even if we look at it scientifically, we know that the Earth is actually moving through the universe at a certain rate, and we are moving into a different frequency inside of the universe. Everything, as Nikola Tesla said, everything is frequency, vibration and sound.
Yeah.
Everything. So we are frequency. Yeah. We are a certain frequency, and we are consciousness that has vibrated into such a low frequency it has become dense to the point of physical matter. So we are consciousness trapped in a physical experience.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, this is all part of the great plan. It's all part of the great game of the creator trying to understand itself. I heard a great thing the other day that if you're unconditional love and you want to really understand what unconditional love is, if you really want to understand who you are, first what you must understand 100% is who you are not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're unconditional love and you want to experience who you truly are, you must know the parts of you that are not you as well. If that makes sense. You must know what it's like human having a preference. So until we try certain foods, we don't know what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah.
And by trying different foods, we get a better understanding of our palate, of the information that is coming in through food. We like this, we don't like that. That's okay, that's spicy, that's bitter, that's sugary, that's watery, that's crunchy. All of this different information just coming through our mouths, and we build up a picture of a menu that we would like, of foods that we'd buy on a regular basis. It's all down to preference.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's understanding your shadow self.
Yes,
that's how some people see it.
Shadow work. Yeah.
You know, who am I? What are my behaviours?
Yeah.
You know, what is good and what is bad. And it's understanding that you are just a system at play in a much bigger picture.
Yes.
And once you understand your own system, this will look different to a lot of different people. Then you can implement change within your system.
Yes.
And you can do that by planting seeds of love into your system. So it's really people need to understand their own systems, and you need to dive deep into that and look at your worst self.
Yeah.
And that's the scary bit that a lot of us don't want to do. I certainly didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what started my spiritual journey, is all of a sudden I had to look at my dark self and where it was going wrong.
Yes.
And I think when we do that and we're honest, and Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time,
Yeah.
if you really listen to what he's trying to say,
Yeah.
sit with yourself and ask yourself the difficult questions that you don't want to answer.
Yeah.
Because you have to answer them.
You do. You do. You
And
do.
without answering them, you are constantly locked in the questions as that identity.
Yeah.
You need to unlock all of it.
Yeah.
And then you're able to really live.
Yeah, because I found what I've been doing recently is my biggest thing was alcoholism. And I was such a drinker that I didn't know it was a problem. I was kind of... My friends used to drink a lot. I used to play in bands, go around, do the open mic nights, all around the pubs, big drinking scene. Everyone who I knew would relax with a beer. And I didn't know it was a problem until I met my wife, had a family I had to look after, and realised I can't drink every day. I can't go and play my guitar every day.
Yeah.
I can't go see my friends every day and party every day. Because if I wanted to be a responsible adult, I couldn't be drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Now, there was a part in my life where being drunk all the time didn't seem to cause a problem. In fact, it seemed quite fun. But I was very lost. I was very unconscious. As far as I was concerned, we were dust and bones. And it didn't matter if you were good or bad because we all end up in a box or in an oven. That was my attitude. I was so like, if there is something greater out there, he can do one because my life's crap and I don't care.
Yeah,
I was
not
so
a part of it. Like,
I didn't want to be a part of anything like that. I wanted to be in control of my own misery.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in control of my own happiness. And even if I had to spend a tenner on a bottle of booze to find that happiness, that was up to me. And that's the way I lived for a long, long time until these seeds of love, children, I had children.
It makes you look at the world differently when you have kids, doesn't it?
these
And you got to
little-
ask you got to ask the question why. What is that?
Exactly. Where does that come from?
And that's an instinct thing. That's something that is built in us, that has given us a clue.
Is that who we truly are then? Is that addict or that person who's lost, they can look at something so innocent, so pure, something that is just a ball of love. It hasn't... A little baby is a ball of love that has no judgment. It hasn't hurt anybody. It can't be more innocent than it is.
Yeah.
And that can bring out this deep part of us that makes us question our very own nature of who we are as human beings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure you've done this, I've done this, and everyone listening has probably done this. But, you know, I encourage, like, sit with yourself in the quiet without any addictions, any distractions, and see how long you can sit with yourself for.
Yeah.
Before you start getting, it happens with me, so at the moment I acknowledge it's vaping.
Yeah.
You know, I did a challenge the other day. I thought I'm going to quit vaping. And I'm going to film how I react.
Right.
And I'm going to be very conscious about how my body reacts. When you sit with yourself, you start feeling all of these things cropping up that are, you know, oh, I need to vape, or I'm stressed about this, and like, your body tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you feel it.
Yeah.
Now, it's very easy not to want to deal with that reality. So we cover it up by quick fixes. Fucking food is one of them.
Food, yeah.
Food, the amount of stuff put in our food that we have no idea is addictive.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's a whole new topic.
Yeah.
But food, we use tobacco. Technology, oh, it's a massive one.
Technology's huge.
You look at the amount of time technology is taken away from our children experiencing love.
Yeah.
Now, really think about that.
Yeah, hours, millions.
There is a long period of our time, of our children's time, that they're not experiencing any love. They're just observing a screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's things like that. It's complicated. That's the true nature of who we are. It's complicated.
Yeah.
And it's not just about your brain. It's everything is connected. But what I do know is, from a psychological standpoint, they've done loads of tests in places where it's end-of-life care.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to say? A psychologist goes up and says, what's your one regret? And they've done this with hundreds of thousands of people across multiple countries. This is a basic test. And the number one thing is, I wish I was myself.
Wow.
I wish I was myself, my true self.
Yeah.
That's the biggest regret.
That they wish they had just
They
been...
just, and these are people dying. So what we have now talking,
Yeah.
and what you're using to listen to me and Sean talk, that body, when that is no longer available to you, and someone asks,
Yeah.
what's your biggest regret? I wasn't myself. I
Yeah.
was not myself living in love.
Right.
I was a part of the system.
Yeah. They gave their life away.
That really needs to hit home.
Yeah.
It certainly changed my perspective on how I approach life. And I
Yeah.
think people have to ask themselves that difficult question, Sean. Like, do I actually love my life?
Yeah.
And is my love being directed to the right places? You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And and I think it's so interesting what you said there about they weren't themselves, because I remember being at a charity function a couple of years back. It was a really, really posh do, and there was a lot of successful people. I went along because I thought it'd be good fun.
Yeah.
And so I paid the ticket money. I've never ever been to a fancy ball before, a big auction, so I paid to have the privilege, 3-course meal and that sort of stuff. And I'm surrounded by businessmen. One guy next to me he was only 38, and he was building boats for a living, his own company. He was turning over 4 million a year. Big people, big businessmen in this room, all very, very wealthy and to do. I was probably the poorest person there. And, you know, but they were all... How do I explain it? They were all... Whenever they asked me, what do you do? What they really meant was, how do you earn money?
Yeah.
They didn't mean...
Where are you in the hierarchy?
Yeah, because at that time in my life, I had just quit working.
Yeah.
The universe aligned, where I found myself in a position to be at home throughout the day. First time in my life I had this amount of time. I found meditation. I found the Creator through meditation, found out about eternal life, which started this journey. And in that time, I was writing down my dreams. I was putting all information down to possibly write poems or a book one day. I was writing down all the spiritual experiences that were happening to me. And that's what I was doing with my time. Yeah. So when these people looked at me, these businessmen on this table over dinner, and said, oh, so what do you do? Oh, I build boats. Yeah, so what do you do? I'm a financial banker. I own that business over there. What do you do? Oh, I've taken time out to, maybe write a book. I've just been writing some music, some poems. And just having a year off work to find out who I am. That's what I do. They're like, oh, well, what do you do for money?
Yeah.
Oh, well, currently looking after the children and the wife's working. I'm like I said, I'm taking a year off to I was so stressed. I needed that break, and the universe was telling me I needed, because I still needed to come off alcohol.
Yeah.
And the look on their faces when I wasn't earning a proper living. And then I realised all of you people here identify with your work.
Yeah.
And you identify with who you're married to, who your children are, but none of you have actually spoke about who you are.
Exactly.
None of you
or
have,
if you're happy.
Or none of you have said what you do for fun.
Yeah.
Who you are, what are you interested in. I haven't asked you, so what do you do for work? Who are you married to? Who are your children? If I ask you, so what do you do? Who are you? I don't want to hear, well, I own the bakery and I'm married to Sylvie and I have 2 children and I have a dog, a nice semi-detached and a BMW. That's who I am.
Yeah,
that isn't who you are.
Exactly.
That isn't who you are.
You hit a really important point. Is like, the conversation should be more like, I do something that I love.
Yeah.
It's none of their business, really. If you're a bin man and you are living in happiness and love, that's no different to a rich man living in happiness and love. Yeah. It's the same connection.
100%.
But people have connected their happiness and love to money, which that's not the case.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of rich people go to psychologists.
Because they're depressed.
Loads of them.
They're depressed,
because they thought money was happiness.
Yeah.
And psychologists openly speak about this across the board. Like, I have a lot of rich clientele. Like, a lot of footballers. A lot of footballers use them. They thought, as a kid, you get rich. Yeah, being a footballer in our country, it's a dream job. A lot of these footballers seek help from psychologists. They're like,
Because they've been sold a dream.
They've been sold a dream. It's not their dream.
Ain't
It's what
their
people
dream.
need.
Yes.
Your dream looks different
Yes.
to a person's that you see on TV.
Yes.
Just because you see they got lots of money doesn't mean that is your dream.
Right, so how do we find our dream? What's our dream?
By doing things that you love. And it comes back to, it's funny, we can go on conversations for hours,
Yeah.
and it always comes back to love.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we talk about, if it's done in love,
Yeah.
then it's
For example, if, say, making content for a channel on YouTube,
yeah,
if you was doing it for someone else and it was to do with something you absolutely hated, the chances of you putting effort
yeah,
and time and the
Yeah.
chance of you putting love
yeah,
into that is pretty much zero.
yeah,
Especially if it's something you absolutely disagree with and you can't stand it. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, you have to sit here for 2 hours a day and edit these videos and I want them to be the best they can be. Or you're working for someone who's completely aligned with your message,
yeah,
with what you're trying to do. You're probably gonna spend extra hours putting
Yeah.
love into that. I want to get this right. I want to get this perfect because I love this.
yeah,
So that's the difference, I think, between doing something for purely monetary gain
yeah,
and doing something you love that can bring monetary gain.
Yeah.
Because money isn't
Yeah.
evil.
no,
Money
no,
isn't
money's-
evil. That's
it's
another
how
lie,
we
isn't
use
it?
Yeah,
That's been sold to us. What's your thoughts on that about money's evil? I don't believe that to be so. I don't believe that if you're a good person, you need to be poor for the rest of your life.
yeah,
That doesn't make no sense to me.
yeah.
No.
It's so the unfortunate thing with money is it also brings power. And when people have power, like the apple and the tree, you can either choose to use that power,
Yeah.
or you can choose love and
Yeah.
peace. Money can be used
Yes.
in many different ways. Now that's the problem,
Right.
because
Falling into the wrong hands.
wrong hands. Money is not evil. I can
Yeah,
go buy
yeah.
and I can buy nice food for my family
Yeah.
and cook a lovely, delicious meal.
Nothing wrong with
Now
that.
that's love.
That's love.
That's love, and that, and
Yeah.
I couldn't have got that. Well, unless I grown all of the food, which we're not in a system that acts that out.
No,
So
not
we
all of
cannot
us.
do
No,
that.
no,
We are not all individuals farmers.
No,
we
that's
are
right.
in our base reality.
Yeah.
So I have to buy groceries. Therefore, okay, I can't steal.
No.
Therefore, I need money.
Yeah.
Okay, I need money. Well, we live in a system where we have to identify with a job.
Yes. Yes.
So money is just a part of the system.
It's
It's a
part
part
of
of the
it.
system. It doesn't make us evil, and I think with money in the right hands with the right person, it is a
do a lot-
blessing.
lot
It's
of
a
good.
blessing.
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
governs
yeah.
a hierarchy.
Right. Yeah.
In the hierarchy system it's really dominant and it's
Yeah.
really obvious in our society. There is a hierarchy,
I always wondered.
and money is a part of that.
Of course.
Of
Money
the
is an
hierarchy.
energy.
Yeah,
It's a type of energy.
Yeah.
It's a very direct form of energy. Money.
Yeah.
Because if you want something done in the system we're in, money is one of the money and violence. So
Yeah,
if you can't pay to get something done, if you're that type of person, you could probably make someone do something if you really was that way inclined.
However, we have a prison system,
Yes.
so individually we cannot take that approach. So we are forced to use.
We're not
the money.
supposed to.
We're not supposed to, but
no.
we are almost forced to use the money system.
Of course, but otherwise we risk
forced.
losing our liberty.
Exactly. So
And-
that's taken away from us.
And morally, who wants to hurt someone else for monetary gain?
no.
And now there are people in the world, and we know there are lots of people in the world that are okay with turning a blind eye. If they're not directly hurting people, they're involved in systems that do directly hurt people, and they're gaining monetarily from that.
Yeah.
What I truly believe is starting next year, 2025, and by 2036 it will be complete. These next 11 years, we're going to see a complete replacement of the structure on planet
Yeah.
Earth. And it's going to take 11 years. And it will be from this solar maximum till the next solar maximum. This next 11 years is going to be such a transformation towards positivity that me and you will be able to sit here on this show still in 11 years' time,
Yeah.
speak to this audience and say, look where we are now.
Yeah.
And if dreams were to come true, which miracles happen every single day, the fact we're even alive is a miracle, the fact that we are breathing, sitting, having this conversation
yeah.
is a miracle in itself. So miracles happen every single day. In your eyes, what would you like to see on your perfect version of planet Earth? How would you
Big question.
How would you like to see, from people treating each other to maybe even how children are taught in the education? What would you include? What would you take away?
It's a really good question. I think I would like to see. So I'm going to keep it less spiritual now. Actual.
We're in the human experience.
We need a sense of community where within that community there is love, and we haven't got boundaries, and it's a safe place for people. So a sense of community is what we need to get going again, because when we work together as a collective, we are more powerful, and it's just got to be done in the right way. And I would like to see people start loving life again. Loving life, we've all been in them moments where we've gone out with a certain group of friends, or we've gone somewhere, and in that moment, everyone has been acting out of love. We've all had moments like that, whether it's a party or a wedding, or
you feel it.
Yeah. Why can't we have that all the time?
Yeah.
And it comes down to that question: why?
Why
Can't we live in that moment of pure bliss and happiness all the time? And the more we can try and live in the moments of pure love, and if people find a way of doing that in their life, then that's what I'd like to see.
So do you believe we're all connected, even down to electronic magnetic fields? Our heart gives off, I think, a 10-foot radius pulse of electromagnetic field that other people can pick up. So our energies it's being proven, they can literally intertwine our energies. If we do spiritual work, maybe not even spiritual work, because I believe spirituality has been made super complicated. I believe down to on this, I think there's two spectrums: love and fear. If you're acting out of love on the smallest end of the spectrum, you could be sat there thinking, you know what, life might not be exactly how I want it, but I'm grateful that I'm here.
Yeah.
And you might not be praying, you might not believe in a God, you might not believe in anything, but you could be grateful for the fact that you're here. Now that is still coming from a place of love. On the spectrum of fear, it could be as little as just saying to yourself every day, oh, another bloody day again.
Yeah.
Do you know that attitude of, oh, another day on planet Earth?
Yeah, and I think to bring this to base reality, okay, so we know we need to love. Believe it or not, some people don't know how to love.
Right.
They've never experienced love.
Right.
So they look in other places what love looks like.
Right.
So to how to actually practice this, and where does it start as a natural tool, is practice by loving your partner. Yeah, your partner, women they are more emotional. I'm sorry, men.
Yeah.
Women are more in tune with emotion.
Right, okay. Yeah.
They really are.
Feminine sort of energy.
They carry the seed of life.
Yeah.
They need to develop high emotion.
Yeah.
Therefore, they can show us love.
Yeah.
So this is more aimed at men, what I'm saying, but women have a massive role in this.
Yeah.
Is start by really loving your partner, and then you will feel love off of that, and what you're doing is you're practicing experience love. You have to practice love. It's not just, and that's because we've lived in a way for so long where we haven't loved ourselves. We need to practice to love again.
Is there a way then, so say for the single people out there that don't have that partner, is there a way, I guess, can we experience self-love? We can experience self-love. We can. But is there a point where we need to have self-love and love for others coexisting? So it needs to be a wholeness.
You've raised a very valid point. Until you love yourself, you cannot truly love someone else.
Right.
I really believe this, because when we don't love our true self and we try and look for love in others,
yeah,
because we're not being our true self, and we've aligned ourselves with who we are, we don't have that full capacity of loving.
Right.
So you really have to love yourself and forgive yourself, and all of the negative stuff you tell yourself needs to go.
Yeah.
Because only when you're truly loving yourself, you give your best self, therefore radiating a certain frequency which will attract the same person.
Yes. Yes.
And this is why you get a lot of people that trauma bond. It's been proven.
Yeah, trauma bonding. Yeah.
Because you don't truly love yourself, you find someone that gives out the same frequency that also doesn't love yourself. You match.
Right.
You match.
Yeah. Yeah.
You match the people that you give off, and it's so I wouldn't even worry about finding a partner until you love yourself.
Yes.
Be okay with yourself.
You have to be okay with yourself.
And then what you will find is you will be drawn to people.
And people will be drawn to you.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry
You don't
because that's how the universe works.
Oh, so manifestation.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it is. If you desperately seek it, you're never gonna find it. You have to love yourself and let the attraction happen in a natural way.
I kind of think I've been working on self-love a lot recently.
Yeah.
Because after I got rid of the drink addiction, that was masking probably 3 or 4 other behaviours that I wasn't happy with. I don't think they were aligned with love. I think they were coming out of fear. So I've been working on them. I'm down to about 2. I'm down to about 2 behaviours left that I think are still out of alignment with who I truly am. And I feel like, I don't know why I feel like this, I feel like until I find that alignment and control them 2 other behaviours, I feel like until I align them 2 other behaviours, get them out of the way so I'm truly walking in my alignment.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where self-love will truly come in, where we can finally accept that we've overcome our challenges, we've aligned ourselves with who we truly are on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
And I think from that place is where we accept what the universe has to offer us.
Yeah.
So what you were saying earlier about not trying to force life and trying to do this, trying to do that, and allowing life to come to us in a more way of flow, in a way of feeling, and a way of attracting the right person, the right job, and being in a state of love. I do feel until we can accept who we are truly and love ourselves, we would not be able to accept what the universe, the abundance that the universe has for us. You know? Yeah.
And so, and look, that's the mission that we are all on.
Yeah.
And I think everyone is starting to wake up to that.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it, which is really important. So I think people are in the right steps. I mean, you only have to go on YouTube to see how many people are talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to loving yourself.
Everything comes down to love.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to love. And if people want to find out more about the work you're doing, we're going to put a link in to the description.
Yeah, so I just made a channel and I'm going to run it alongside my psychology degree. So I want the viewers to almost go through the psychology degree with me. And we look at it from a spiritual and psychological point of view.
Yeah.
And see if there's a balance there.
Sounds super
and it's more just a fun project for myself. And it keeps me accountable as well for keeping up the education side.
And that's called understanding normal.
Understanding normal. I
Which
mean,
is
what is normal?
Exactly.
What is normal? And that's what we're all trying to find.
Yeah.
We just want to be at peace and love, and be happy.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, isn't it?
So everything's about love.
Yep.
We're going to keep this message going.
Yep.
We want to be able to affect this world, what it's going through, in a positive way. And the message we want to get to everyone is love may be a lot more complicated, but also a lot simpler than we first thought.
The complicated side is the love that you have been taught.
And
and the other side of love is the one that is natural. And it's undoing the love that you have been taught and then finding your natural love.
Finding that natural
and
love.
that's a lifetime journey.
Yes.
You know, so it'd be interesting for your channel as well. Just if any of the viewers ever wanted to do like
Yeah.
like a video or a
Yeah.
Teams call with
Yeah.
you. They
Yeah,
could
if
easily
any-
share their views and
100%. If
Yeah.
any of the viewers, we've got some amazing subscribers, some amazing viewers. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe now and give this video a like. It's absolutely free and it does help the channel grow. And that's what we're trying to do here. And we've loved having James on the show today.
Thank you.
It's been absolutely amazing. I want to thank you for coming on the show. And like you say, if anyone wants to Zoom call or come on the show and give their opinions, you are more than welcome. The show is for everyone. We want to unite and come together as a species, as a collective, and change this planet for the better. It's what we're all about, isn't it? Ain't it?
it is.
It bloody is. On that note, I want to thank you for watching this video. And there's going to be plenty more like this. So please like and subscribe. Hit that notification icon if you haven't already. For more content like this that's going to uplift your soul and bring you into that true nature of unconditional love. Never forget, you are the fingerprint on the finger of the hand of God himself. Yes, you are. Never forget that. Never ever forget that. Much love, take care, and goodbye for now.
There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you. Not doing well, don't know where you are, 'cause you're not here. It's been way too long.